So by the end of this video, it is your goal that you can compute both the greatest common factor and the least common multiple. So we're going to get started today, and I'd like you to read some definitions to your partner. Partner number one, you're going to read the definition for the greatest common factor. Partner number two, you're going to read the definition for the least common multiple. All right, go ahead and do that right now. No, I think you're doing greatest common factor. Greatest common All right, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. So the greatest common factor, which from now on I'm going to call the GCF, is the largest factors that two numbers share. I'll second that. The least common multiple, which we will now call the LCM, is the smallest number that two or more numbers divide into without a remainder. So we're going to start off today by tackling how to find the GCF. What does GCF stand for? You tell me. Greatest common factor. And that was with a lot of enthusiasm. So we're going to find the greatest or the largest factor that two numbers share. So let's start by looking at the number 24 and the number 32. And we're going to find the largest factor that these two numbers share. So when you do this, the first thing that you need to do, and I want you guys to stick with me, please don't move ahead, is you're going to find all of the factors, and you're going to do that by finding factor pairs. Now, I've been very picky about this. I want you to find your factor pairs so that you don't miss any, that you get all of them. So for 24, we can say 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, and 4 times 6. Okay? Notice that we did them in order here. All right? For 32, 1 times 32. It's even, so choose a factor. 2 times 16 and 4 times 8. Okay? Now we're going to see what factors they have in common. So they both have 1 in common. They both have 2 in common. They don't have 3, only one of them has 3. They share 4. They don't share 6. They share 8. They don't share 12, or 16, or 24, or 36. But notice here how 8 is the GCF. It's the greatest common factor. It's the largest factor that they both share. So looking down here, we also can put our numbers in a list. Now, I only want you to do a list after you find your factor pairs. I notice that a lot of times when students do their lists, they tend to miss things. Yeah, Izzy? Oh, it's 32. Thank you for correcting me. All right. So here we have our common, all of our factors for each of these. And we can see that the greatest factor that they both share is 8. So when you're doing this, you're first of all going to want to find all of your factor pairs for each of your numbers. And after that, you're going to list your factors out here, like we have a list here, and then you will find your greatest common factor. You guys ready to do one together? Yeah! Okay, turn to your next page, and we're going to go to the top of your next page where it says find the GCF of 18 and 24. What is the first thing that we're going to do to be able to solve this problem? Hayden, what's the first thing?
Find out the factors
Of? Which number do you want to start with?
18.
Let's do it. All right. So, Hayden, will you help me with the first factor pair here?
Yeah, so you kind of have, well, you start from the top, so 1.
Yeah?
So 1 times 18 is 18.
I love that you're doing factor pairs. Awesome. What would come next? What's our next one? Ryan.
3 times 6.
There's one that's before that. We're doing this in order, so we don't skip them. Cargina. 2 times. Yeah, and then what would it be, Ryan?
And then 3 times 6.
You got it. Okay, do we have any other ones? You do any other ones?
18 times 1.
You have 1 times 18 and 18 times 1, yep. All right, we have all of them for 18. You guys ready for 24? All right, I'm going to go over here just so I have a little more room. All right, what's going to be my first factor pair here? My first factor pair, Katie?
1 times 24.
All right, you got it. It's even, so it's going to, my next factor pair going to be Matthew.
3 times 8.
Oh, we're doing them in order.
Oh.
3 times 8, you are correct about that. What would come next, though? Okay, what are you thinking?
2 times 12.
2 times 12, and then we can do 3 times 8. All right, any other ones? Oh, yes, Maya.
4 times 6.
4 times 6. All right, and it doesn't end in a 0 or 5, so we know that 0 and 5, or so we know 5 is not a factor. Thank goodness we practiced yesterday. Yes, sir. 6 times 4, we kind of have that one already, right? So we have all of our factors. Okay, now let's go ahead and list them. So for 18, we have 1, and I'm going to do these in order. 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, and 12. Oh, 18. All right. For 24, let's list these in order. So we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, and 24. And guys, I just got those from my factor pairs. All right, now let's go to step number 3. We're going to look at the greatest common factor, the largest factor that they have in common. Tell your partner, what do you think is the largest factor they have in common? What do you guys think? Okay, they have 1 in common, they have 2 in common, they have 3 in common, they have 6 in common, but nothing else. All right, so our greatest common factor, or our GCF, is 6. Girl, can you scoot back just a little bit for me? Thank you so much. Okay, so we've talked about GCF. You guys ready for LCM? Yeah. Okay, let's do this. So let's go down to our notes sheet. And now we have some information for how to find the LCM, or the least common multiple. Now this is the smallest multiple that 2 or more numbers share. So we're going to find the LCM of 24 and 32. All right, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find the multiples of both of those numbers. Multiples, think of your number is, there's many multiples, right? These could go on, we keep talking about multiples, we can keep listing them all day long. We're not going to though. All right, so for 24, 1 times 24 is 24. 2 times 24 is 48. 3 times 24 is 72. 4 times 24 is 96. And 5 times 24 is 120. Okay? With 32, 1 times 32 is 32. 2 times 32 is 64. 3 times 32 is 96. 4 times 32 is 128. And 5 times 32 is 160. Now when I do this, I like to find like my first 5 multiples of each. And usually you can find the GCF, at least in this math class, in the first 5. But when you get to be a little bit older, it'll get to be a little bit trickier. So stay tuned tomorrow because you're going to learn a cool trick. All right. So after you've listed your multiples, let's put them down here after you figured them out. So we just had 24, 48, 72, 96, 120. And for 32, we had 32, 64, 96, 128, 160. So we can see there that our least common multiple, or the smallest multiple that they both share, is 96. Yeah.
Wouldn't the smallest multiple be 1?
So why would 1 not be their smallest multiple? Oh, because it's a factor. You got it, because it's a factor. That's
Oh, wait,
a really good question.
and then they have to, oh, I see, because they have to line up. Well, the exact same.
Well, they have to be. They have to be the same. Yeah.
Well, they don't have to line up.
Yeah. Awesome. What an amazing revelation. All right, guys, let's do 18 and 24. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find the multiples of this number. So let's do 18 times 1. What's 18 times 1? 18. It's going to get just to be a little bit tricky with the lid. 18 times 2. Oh, you can tell me. 36? Yeah. 36. 18 times 3. 54. 18, I'm going to have to listen over here. 18 times 4. 72. And 18 times 5. I just thought about, if I had 72, I thought about adding 18 to that. Yeah, 90. Okay. You guys ready for 24? Okay, 24 is really great because it's 1 less than 25. So 24 times 1 is 24, right? Okay, you should be writing this down with me right now. 24 times 2, 48. 24 times 3, 72. 24 times 4 is 96. And 24 times 5. Oh, 24 times 5. What'd you say? 110. I got one. It should be 120. Okay, so I'm going to list all these multiples. So 18 was 18. Notice I'm putting a comma between each of them. 36, 54, 72, and 90. And for 24, I had 24, 48, 72, 96, and 120. Now, after you write all those down, turn to the person next to you and tell them, what is the least common multiple?
It's 72 because if you list them all up.
Yeah, it's 72. There you go, and that's your least common multiple.